the return line back into the supply line on this one, and you can't do that. For one thing, the diesel is heated up when it goes through the fuel pump, and the generator doesn't like to run on hot fuel, so putting that hot fuel back in the generator made it not function as well as it should. It also overpressurized the seals and the fittings, or the seals, and caused a leak at the generator for something like 29,500 hours that this generator operated. The whole area was a rainbow sheen. At that time it was raining. Coast Guard, EPA, and I went up there and we built an underflow dam so that we could keep the diesel from running off of that property onto the neighbor's property. And it was pretty successful. It's not very pretty, but it worked pretty good. They put this ammonium sulfate down, and that fertilizer, along with some straw and that kind of thing, kind of sped up the bioremedial action for the dispersal of the diesel. This is Twin Rocks Grow. This was in July of '07. Nice maintenance shop. No. Indoor grow. 2 rooms. There was 3 buildings like that on that place. This is the Twin up on the hill about 200 yards away from that building. This is the reason it was discovered. This is a 500-gallon propane tank. These are the valves. This round thing down here is the one end of the tank. I never did find the other end of the tank. When that tank exploded, or in fireman's language, it blevied, it blew the tank that was sitting next to it all the way through the grow and out the other side. And there was a 3,000-gallon diesel tank sitting next to that also went all the way through the building and spewed diesel all over the whole area. We've dug 80 some odd yards out of there, and we're still not clean. This was Walker Road, July 23rd. This guy had 2 generators sitting side by side. I don't know if there was a fuel problem or an electrical problem or what the deal was, but it started a fire and burned up his grow, burned up the generators. He had 2 1,000-gallon tanks, one nursing the other one. He had 19 cards, 19 medical marijuana cards. There were no arrests, no seizures, no action was taken at all. This one was on Shimmins Ridge. There was 3 grow rooms on the property. That's the third and the biggest and the newest. It had never gotten a crop off. You can see everything's all brand new. They were also making bubble hash, lots of various chemicals. I think there was about 15 pounds. Those were 1-pound bags. They were smaller than the other 35-gallon garbage sacks that you saw at the other place. Lots of toys. They had a pretty nice, pretty clean setup. They had a steel tank. They had a fuel line. I saw no leaks. You can see the waste oil sitting under the tongue of the generator there. They weren't really very careful with that. In fact, they were dumping their waste oil in an old septic tank. That's what that is. It looks kind of like a grave. It's about 4 feet wide, 6 feet long, 6 feet deep, and it's half full. I don't know how good of integrity the walls of the septic tank were, if it's soaked all in the ground, and how long they were doing it, or any of that kind of stuff. So it hasn't been dug out yet. This is Bell Springs, March 13th, 2008. It's just an example of the amount of fuel. You can see 2 tanks underneath the building. That's kind of a fire code issue, I think. This was Blue Lake Road, June 25th. This guy had 2 underground grows. This cinder block building is underneath the garage. It had 4 grow rooms inside of it. This is a 40-foot C-van, container van, buried underground, and that little shed is hiding the entrance to the grow. Lots of money, nice-looking plants. They had a 3,000-gallon diesel tank there that had a chronic leak at the tank, at the fuel filter. We took 42 cubic yards of contaminated soil out of that to Manteca to be disposed of. The responsible party there paid the county $7,000 in reimbursement for our time, for double hazmat, hazardous materials management plan fees. And they paid, I believe it was right in the neighborhood of $25,000 for the excavation and for the disposal of the soil. And they have a fine from air quality for $820,000 for the use of their unpermitted generators. And you could just take what you see and draw your own decision, make your own decisions, draw your own conclusions. That all it is information for you to use as you see fit. Thank you.
Jim, before we move on to Mr. Liniger here, can you tell me how frequently it is that a person who is busted and has environmental problems actually pays for it themselves, and if they don't, who does?
Good examples are the Salmon Creek groves and the one we just talked about up on Blue Lake Road. The Salmon Creek grow was a fugitive. He's ran away to Canada. He never had any buy-in in our county. He never, he didn't care at all. That's why there was a lot of contamination. A lot of bad acts were done. The cleanup was very expensive, and we paid for the cleanup. The EPA is steward of a fund that the Coast Guard actually handles, and if I go through the proper tracks and trails, I can get the EPA to come in and do a cleanup, and that's where the money went, but it comes from our taxes. The